Hey y'all, so this is the JFK Files, um, part 15, page 15 of the National Archives. I'm probably gonna have to do several videos on this one because some of them have like lengthy amount of reading, and I don't want it to cut off on me. But for right now, we'll do this one and a few of the 1 and 2 pagers, and then I'll have to go back and do some of the big long ones separate. But anyway. So this is two Chief of African Division from the Chief of MK Vivid Athens, and then Chief of Base in Benghazi. It says Chief of Station in Tripoli. List of GS Few 1 of personnel in Libya and related technical matters. It says action FYI, and as stated, references A Director 608223, Tripoli 4658 1229, and then Tripoli 4692, not sent to Benghazi. Forwarded under separate cover is a list of GS Fuse 1 personnel in Libya, identities A through M, and the areas to which they are assigned. Also forwarded under separate cover, but to headquarters only, were back biographic sketches on 10 of the 13 men employed by GSV 1, as well as a profile of himself. It is hoped that basic biographic data on the other 3 men, identities F, G, and J, can be obtained from Ellen Cove from Tripoli and Benghazi consular files. It will be noted that Identity C was born in West Germany. Let me open this up some more. In recent weeks, GSVU 1 has employed Identity N as its secretary, and she and her husband, Identity O, live in the apartment above that of GSVU 1. Identity N's main duties are to handle GSVU 1's correspondence and greet any visitors that appear in his apartment door. As previously stated, GSView 1's office is located in his apartment, and since he has no telephone, anyone must call on him personally. GSView 1 gives high technical capability marks to Identity A, D, H, and that Identity E is also a highly qualified man. However, Identity E has caused GSV 1 a few headaches with Libyan customs since Identity E has been the recipient of considerable pornographic literature sent to him through the international mail from Copenhagen. Libyan customs officials have opened the mail, and although possibly secretly interested in the highly graphic material, have told GSV 1 that he must take action to guarantee that no further literature of this nature will come to Libya and to Identity E. Again, for headquarters only is a sketch GSView 1 gave the station on 23rd of September 1970, which shows the proposed UHF radio system expansion, which was the subject of reference C. Portions circled with red pencil are planned expansions, and regarding a SRAC system for GSView 1's use in Tripoli, First Station's request that approval be given to lease another apartment in this building would certainly enable him to transmit from his own to the safe department or to the safe apartment. He could be provided with an appropriate radio. He already possesses 2 tape recorders for this purpose. GSV 1 does not have a radio in his car, but could have one installed and arrangements made for him to transmit to Neuwirth's, I think that's how you say it, Neuwirth's residence. The latter is located a half a block from a main thoroughfare that GSV 1 could frequently and naturally use to get him to various locations in Tripoli. Excuse me. New Worth's residence is also about a block and a half from Identity P, where GSV1 makes a habit of stopping each Friday evening during the happy hour. He drives to Identity P, as do uh, W.O. Corkers, and after parking his car, could transmit before entering the Identity P. GSV1 also has a TV set. In the event, this could be modified as an SRAC device, but it must be taken into consideration that the Libyan programs are only presented during evening hours. The station also has another safe house apartment in the Identity O or Q building, maybe, which is also located on a busy thoroughfare in a street. GSV1 would also have need to take in handling business and shopping affairs. New Earth has been planning to have a radio placed in this apartment for use during meetings with station assets. Although GSV1 would often use SRAC only for transmitting purposes, and it would not be necessary to query him on the information he reported. Two-way voice communications would probably be essential in those instances where he had technical and other fairly complicated data to relay, which would necessitate his case officer being able to make certain it is understood and does not require clarification and or amplification. Other information concerning the GSV1 activity will follow by separate dispatch, and this is Arthur E. Newworth. And then these are secret, Rybat under separate cover sheet. And these are all those identities and the locations as well. Assigned to Tripoli, Wallen Hugh Clan, Quentin V. Prochaska, Franz Joseph Stevens, Charles Spence, Richard King, Ray Edwards, Vince Kinney, and then assigned to Benghazi, Elwyn Rogers, Donald Beasley, Charles Butera. Assigned to Tobruk, Raymond Leary, Robert Sonnenberg, and then Clyde Combs, and then Rita Brandt, James Brandt, U.S. Marine House, Alitalia. Anyway, that's interesting. So this is 16 pages. I'll have to do that separate. So this is one page. It's June 1961 and earlier. Source: a Cuban national residing in the U.S. Source is a personal and political friend of former President Carlos Prio Socarras and held positions of cabinet rank during Prio's administration. Source is normally available for reinterrogation should this report generate additional requirements. This report was developed by an Army representative assigned to the Office of Preparation. Says I've been informed by contacts within pro-Fidel Castro groups that Castro agents in the U.S. are attempting to determine whether there are any military training camps, something location, and then I guess these are some of the names of people that were involved. So yeah, unfortunately, it cut some of that stuff off. Then this is one page. It says Director of Special Investigation, Inspector General, USAF, attention, Mr. Gilbert Levy. And then Deputy Director, I don't know what this is. It says subjects Ling Lindsay, and then Reiner Hines, maybe. Reference is made to the telephone request dated February 1961. A Major Malone for information concerning Lindsay Ling. Okay, so I said it wrong, the backwards. And Heinz Theodore. Maybe that's Reiner or Weiner. I don't know. The files contain the following information concerning the subjects of your request. According to information from an official Portuguese service, Ling was contacted in late August of 1960 in Santa Maria, the Azores, by Eloy Gutierrez Manoyo, a Cuban national, and Rafael Hernandez, a Cuban diplomat. In 1958 and 59, Gutierrez was reliably reported by other sources to have been a military supporter of Fidel Castro's revolution and to be employed by Castro possibly as a G2 agent. In August 1959, he had infiltrated the ranks of certain anti-Castro conspirators and delivers the leaders up to the Cuban government. The Portuguese service further reported in September 1960 that Lindsay Ling, aka Ling Lindsay, was the manager of a Chinese restaurant located at Run Rua Valverde, maybe 9, Madrid in Spanish or Spain, and that the restaurant was owned by a second unidentified Chinese who was also supplying clothing to United States personnel at the Lages base in the Azores or Agoras. It says Theodore Hines Weiner, who had represented the clothing firm in the Agoras, was reportedly arrested there in December 1958 on a suspicion of espionage and was, as of September 1960, reportedly in Bermuda, where Ling was planning to go to investigate setting up another restaurant. The files contain no further information concerning subjects than that which is already believed to be contained in your files. This has 2 pages. This is secret, restricted handling, Vientiane, I guess, eyes only, a slot maybe, and then info of Paris. It says eyes only, Demolat, MH Cube or Curb, Rybat, MH Chaos, and then Paris 29 or 2592, and then not needed in Vientiane. FYI only, highly sensitive sources reports that trade union representative James Hoffa, Harold Gibbons, and William Taub have been invited to visit DRV for 1 week, leaving us either 1 or 4th of July and intended pickup visas in Vientiane or Paris per HQ 7356, not sent to Paris. Gibbons, International Vice President, Teamsters Union, and traveled by DRV March of 72. No identifiable info on Taub. Hoffa is well known, desire no special coverage, trade union group, and no request to liaison, but would appreciate any pertinent image chaos related info which comes to the station's attention, EX2, and then whatever this stuff is here, like a lot of their code info. Oh, this is from June 30th of 72. So where am I at here? Oh no, why isn't it showing me? That was 18. No, that's not it. Okay, I think this is it. The Ling thing. This one's 18. Okay, so this one is 3 pages. It says Chief Task Force W, Chief of Station, JM Wave, Operational, something, a progress report for November, or says AM like Cutler, I think. And then for November, December 1962, action required for your information, reference UFCA, and then dated 23rd of November 1962, like a year. before Kennedy was shot. Anyway, developments, A.M. Cutler's efforts during the reporting period were directed toward supporting the A.M. fauna operation and developing new Q-tube operations. In support of the A.M. fauna operation, he has been investigating A.M. fauna 4, for which purpose he has interviewed 7 Masons in Miami who presumably should have known A.M. fauna 4 but did not, and 2 individuals in New York who did not know him. And then I guess that's a report number there. It says A.M. Cutler 1 has also reported a potential courier channel to A.M. Fauna 1 using Gonzalo Martin, something like that, Brazilian citizen, born of 1915, and that's his residence, something Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida, and his brother Manuel Martin, Brazilian, born 1909, residence Havana, Cuba. And then it says once a month, a pouch passes between the Brazilian consulate in Miami and the embassy in Havana, and A.M. Cutler 1 has made use of it to send letters for posting in Havana to A.M. Cutler 2. The 2 Abellum brothers are personal friends of A.M. Cutler 1 and A.M. Cutler 2, but A.M. Cutler 1 does not believe that they would yet be willing to carry or send any obvious espionage material. He does believe that they would be willing to carry canned goods to A.M. Cutler 2, and this is being explored with the idea of concealing money, maps, etc. in the tin cans for the purpose of trying to develop new Q-tube operations. A.M. Cutler 1 has been following up leads given him by his case officer. He has interviewed Carlos Manuel Caceres Blay, former manager Motel La Cuevas in Trinidad. Residence is something, Florida, 1122 Southwest 16th Avenue, from whom he obtained 2 intelligence reports, and Avelio Cruz, from whom he obtained operational information on the Esquivel Caves, a Sorora Zone, Terminal Municipal of Candelaria, Pinar Del Rio, Cruise 5, past A.M. Cutler 1 to Luis Hernandez, aka El Terrible, who gave him additional information on the caves, which he said are the property of his brother-in-law. And I guess in Cuba, it says info on subs property in Cuba. And Dianino Ugarte, something about Cuba here, Sixto Pugarte, and then Anita Eraste Betancourt, Candelaria Pinar del Rio, Cuba, who still lives in the area. A.M. Cutler 1 reported that his friend Pepe Gonzalez, whose brother-in-law, now resident in Spain, is a son of Dr. Carlos Pedemonte, head of cartographic office of INRA, and then has received word that Pedemonte is looking for a way to leave Cuba. A.M. Cutler 1 is trying to develop additional information on Pedemonte's situation from Gonzalez. Other than press clippings, the only JM Wave trace on Pedemonte is contained in HKH 02664 of 15th of April 1960. On 22nd of December 1962, A.M. Cutler 1 reported that he had been invited by one Chique Montez, a Cuba contact sub, of 201-298-805 maybe, in January 1963, resident of Puerto Rico, to join a maritime expedition aimed against tanker traffic on the south coast of Cuba, with the further objective of seizing a Cuba, what is this, frigate? I don't know, with the cooperation of its captain. Details were sent to headquarters in Wave 2749 of 22nd of December in the hope that it might be possible to make a tentative identification of the naval officer involved. On 25th of December 1962, Aim Cutler reported that he had been informed the day before by Pedro Luis Diaz Lans, maybe, that two individuals named had just approached him with the offer to sell him some weapons allegedly belonging to Cuba, which were stored in an unidentified key and valued at several $1,000s. Lopez and Ciejas told Diaz that an armed raid on the key would have to be simulated so that suspicion would not fall on them, and that the raid would have to be pulled off on either the night of 25th of December or the 31st December, when one or the other of the men would be on guard duty at the key. Diaz had turned down the offer. JM Wave file checks showed that the two men were indeed of interest to Cubark, and that AM Tabby underwater demolition team was possibly involved. Appropriate defensive measures were immediately taken. The production, a sub of 201-293-865, was offered to sell him weapons belonging to U.S. government agency. The following reports were disseminated during the period: UFG 1955, reaction to current crisis with Cuba; UFG 2098, possible military use of caves near Trinidad, Las Villas; and then UFG 2143, identification of two caves near Trinidad, Las Villas, which could be used for military purposes; and then UFGT 2823, passenger manifest for flights to and from Cuba. The following expenses were incurred during the period on behalf of the operation: 2 months' salary is $500, use of POV $30, and the meeting expenses $16.22, maybe. So $546.22. Future plans, no change. End of dispatch. This is one of one. All I can really see is something June 28th of 1962. And then El Salvador, maybe, I think. Department, I don't know. I can't see all of that. Cuban national, something in the U.S. It says source is a lawyer who returned recently from a trip to the Central American countries on special something Cuban Revolutionary Council. Julio Fernandez Gutierrez. Oh, source is Dr. Jose Julio Fernandez Gutierrez. This report was developed by an Army representative assigned to the office of, maybe that's preparation. And then the copy of a report in Spanish by Jose Julio Fernandez Gutierrez to Antonio de Vargas, maybe. This report was written on 2nd of May 62. Is a full report to the Revolutionary Council of Cuba regarding general conditions in El Salvador, specifically dealing with Cubans in that country. The something of the report was sent to El Salvador for this particular purpose. And spent 45 days in El Salvador and other Central American countries, classified confidential. So this has 7 pages. I can't do all of that. And this is 1 of 10. All right, so I'm gonna have to split this up into a few videos, just so it doesn't cut off on me. But anyway, I'll get these loaded up as soon as possible. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll put some of these documents in the actual description so then you have them so you can read them yourself. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. See y'all. Bye.